Hello everyone and welcome to the DeHart house. My name is Alicia and I'm your host of this crafty channel here on YouTube. Today is Saturday, May 3rd of 2025, which means the month of April is behind us now, which every month I'm gonna say it, I can't believe that month is over, but it is. It's May now, which is incredible. But yeah, I need to sit down and talk about the things that I've managed to finish in the month of April, things that I'm still working on, and new cast-ons. So let's get into it. So I did manage to finish a knitting project, and that project is a pair of socks. So I have finished this pair of socks for my husband Michael. I knit this pair out of black yarn and blue yarn. So both yarns are Knit Picks Felici. And if you're familiar with Knit Picks Felici, you might be familiar with the self-striping, the striping colorways. These are plain colors, which is pretty nice. Of course, I did a little bit of striping with it, which is kind of funny, but yeah, so 2x2 ribbing is the patterning I used. I have a heel flap and gusset, which I did in the contrast color, and the toe as well. And yeah, pretty simple construction. They were meant to be somewhat plain knitting. Unfortunately, I quickly found these to be very, very boring to work on. So this pair of socks took me, I say a long time, it's really not a long time, but longer than a pair of socks usually takes me, just because like this section here on the foot where it's just solid black, I found this to be a very boring knit. So I did not gravitate towards it a lot, but I kind of forced myself to be like, just finish these socks already so you can start another pair. And no, don't start another pair, because then these will languish, and I really don't want that to happen. So I finished them and I'm very happy about that. Yeah, the Felici yarn came in 50-gram balls, the black and the blue, and I used one full 50-gram ball of the black plus a little bit more of the second ball. And then the blue was left over from another sock project. I still have a tiny bit left. It's not enough to do really anything with, so it will go in the waste yarn, but I'm happy that I got to use up a lot of it here. So now this pair can go into Michael's sock drawer and he can start wearing them. And that's all that I finished. That's it. I'm very sad about that, actually. I did do some painting projects in the month of April. I'm not going to showcase them here, but if you're interested, I talked about them in my mid-month check-in, so go check out the previous video and you can see the D&D miniatures that I painted mostly on spring break at the beginning of the month. I just really felt like painting and I just rode that wave, which was amazing. So yeah, after I finished the pair of socks, the dreaded black boring pair of socks, I cast on another pair out of a much more exciting yarn. And this is a pair of socks for myself. The yarn is some of my hand-dyed yarn. And so it's this variegated, almost speckly yarn. I used purples and yellows, a little bit of orange in there to give more of like a golden tone to it. And yeah, it's really pretty. This is yarn I dyed back in Texas when we lived in Texas. And I originally knit this up into, I think this is the third time I'm knitting with this yarn, with socks even. I think I originally started doing like a lacy sock pattern, and it was too busy between the lace and the color variations in the yarn. So I ripped it out and I went, okay, I'm just gonna do a plain stockinette shorty sock. And I had knit one of those socks all the way, and all I needed to do was Kitchener stitch the toe. I did not. It languished, it sat, it languished. I took the needles out to use for other socks. It still sat around and languished. And I have decided that I like my shorty socks to be a little bit taller than how I used to make them. And so I decided I did not want to finish that sock as is. I wanted to rip it out and remake it, and that's what I'm doing now. So third time's the charm, hopefully. Yeah, so I'm using the same stitch pattern that I used for my corn on the cob socks. And sorry, there was a spam call coming through. Yeah, so it's just this nice, very simple knits and pearls texture stitch on here. And I'm doing plain stockinette on the back of the sock. I have a heel flap and gusset because I find that that's the best fit for my foot. And I'm currently in the toe decreases. So yeah, I ripped out the sock and just like wrapped it back on the ball of yarn. And so the first, I think it was down here where the yarn ran out from the shorty sock. And then I've reattached the ball and continued on. So most of this sock is knit out of yarn that's already been worked up twice before. And so as you can imagine, it was very wavy and crinkly. So this sock looks messy because the yarn has all that extra crinkly waviness in it, which I'm hoping doesn't impact the fit of the sock too much. I don't want it to be super loose. But anyway, I'm just gonna commit and finish it. This is the first sock. So once I finish the toe decreases and Kitchener stitch the toe, I will start the second sock. But yeah, this is more fun than a solid black sock, obviously. And it's my hand-dyed yarn, so I'm having a lot of fun with that. It certainly has me thinking about dyeing yarn again because it's a lot of fun. Now, this project I was really hoping to have finished this month, but it is not. And that is my Rabinia sweater. So I had finished the body of this sweater for my mid-April check-in. And I just recently finished the first sleeve. And I still need to pick up the second sleeve. And then I'll need to do the collar. So we're getting there. The first sleeve would, I would suspect, take longer because I'm having to make decisions about how long to make it and everything. And the second sleeve should just be repeating it. So in theory, the second sleeve should go faster. However, it depends on my mojo and stuff. But yeah, look at look at this sleeve. It's so comical how much this looks like the top of like a hot water bottle. I love it though. It looks incredibly tiny, but this is so I modified the Robinia sweater pattern because the original comes with a boat neck, and I do not care for boat necks for me. So I've changed it to be more of a crew neck kind of thing, but it's still got this drop shoulder construction to it. And if you look at the original pattern photos, the sleeve looks I think I made mine um, bubble just a little bit more than the original, but in the original it looks like the sleeve is knit like straight and then rapid decreases at the end sort of thing. I may have taken it a little to the extreme, but I really like how it looks when I was trying it on. So it does fit just fine. And I want like a snug fit. It's not cutting off my circulation or anything, so that's good. But I did do a twisted rib to um, give a different kind of detail on here, and I'm loving playing around with all modifying sweaters and seeing how these different construction choices can impact the fit of things. But yeah, I'm really loving sleeves that, I mean, this is how like sweatshirts are for the most part, right? Is they're pretty poofy till the end and then rapidly decrease down. And I want this sweater in particular, I want to be loose and comfy like putting on a sweatshirt, but be a little bit more classy than just wearing a sweatshirt. I have sweatshirts. If I want to wear a sweatshirt, I'll wear one. But professionally, I don't wear sweatshirts at work. I'm a college professor, and unless it's like got our school logo on it and it's a day we're all wearing like school pride kind of stuff, then I'll wear it. But otherwise, I don't wear sweatshirts at work just because personally for me it feels unprofessional and I don't want to give off that vibe. I don't wear a suit or anything, but you know, business casual. And so I think this will work in that aesthetic. So I'm happy with my sleeve choices, and now that I've decided on how many repeats to do for the length, and I've made notes about my decreases on the sleeve, I'll be able to replicate that on the second one. I would like to do that sooner rather than later so that it's still kind of fresh in my mind and not completely foreign to me. So, yeah. But since it's getting, sunnier out and everything and warmer, do I want to be working on a worsted weight sweater? Not necessarily, but I want to finish it. I want to finish it and then be able to move on to other things. Could I just move on to other things right now and not finish this? Yes, I could, but I'm trying to encourage myself to actually finish things before moving on. So let's check in with my goals and see how we're doing and how the month of April may or may not have helped. So one of the things I'm keeping track of is the amount of yarn I'm bringing into my stash versus taking out, and my goal is to use more out than what I bring in. And what I'm doing is tracking the commercial yarn mostly. So Hand spun yarn I'm going to count separately, because the way it comes, hand spun yarn comes into the stash is via a craft itself. The way commercial yarn comes into my stash is through shopping. So I'm separating those. But yeah, so I'm keeping track of the yarn that I bring in. And I'm also keeping track of the yarn that goes out. And yarn counts as coming in as soon as it comes in the door to the house. It gets logged. And then yarn counts as going out when I finish a project. So I did purchase a little bit more yarn this month. Not very much though. I bought some nylon scrubby yarn to make more kitchen scrubbies. Yeah, and I'm going for nice, I mean, it mostly comes in bright colors, but I find it helpful to locate the scrubby in the kitchen when it's a bright color. So I bought 2 of those, one in yellow, one in red, and that brought in a 184 yards this month. And the only thing I finished this month was the pair of socks, and the pair of socks used up 322 yards from the stash. So as far as the month of April is concerned, I did use more out than what I brought in. But if we look at 2025 so far, that is not the case. So, and that's how this goal goes, is for the year, not for month by month, even though it's kind of fun to see that. But okay, so in total, so far this year in 2025, I've brought in, ooh, this is shameful, 5,144 yards. That's a lot. And I've used, where's my number? 2,203 yards out of my stash. This is with commercial yarn. So in total, I'm up 2,941 yards at the moment. I am hoping to finish that sweater sometime soon, and that will really help put a dent in this, although it's certainly not 3,000 yards of yarn, so I will need to do some other things. But some of those other things involve the yarn that I brought in. So one of the yarn purchases was of some gorgeous blue cotton yarn that I plan to knit a skirt out of, and that's something I want to cast on after I finish my Ravelry sweater. I've been trying to use that as a motivation to get me to finish my sweater. So I've already swatched for the skirt so that I can figure out a good fabric. I did have to make a few swatches. The first one was kind of too loose, and you know how that is. Just playing around with getting fabric that I would feel comfortable wearing as a skirt, and then measuring it to find out how many stitches I would have to cast on, and then kind of going from there. So yeah, I'm excited for that. But yeah, that goal is not doing great at the moment, but I still have, you know, over half the year left to work on that. So my bingo card. My bingo card is looking pretty empty right now. I have 1 square completed. 2 if you count the free space. Yeah, I put this bingo card together in hopes that it would motivate me to do different kinds of projects throughout the year. And it's not doing a great job right now, but I have things in progress to work toward these things. So the square that I have finished so far is use hand spun yarn. So I did use hand spun yarn earlier this year, and I knit a hat out of hand spun yarn. So I have completed that. I do have squares in progress, like for example, stranded color work. My Ravelry sweater is stranded color work. so that will count for that. Cross stitch I have in progress, so that's in the works. The skirt that I want to cast on will have some lace elements to it, and would also be something that I would be kind of designing. So depending on what I do, I've got design a new pattern on here. Possibly 2 squares there. I also have, where is it? Oh yeah, I also have one, it's pockets, like put pockets in something, which could include getting out like a cardigan I've already made and add pockets to it, or it could be when making something new, include pockets in it. But I definitely want to do something with pockets for sure, and I feel like a cardigan would be a good fit for that. But anyway, yeah, the socks that I have on the needles are my hand-dyed yarn, and there's a square here that says hand dyed by me, so that would work on that. So I am, you know, I did print this, and I need to like put this up on the wall in here, so when I'm coming in and going, what should I do next, I can actually use this as inspiration like I intended to. But yeah, so I would love to have every square in here marked out by the end of the year. The fact that I only have one by the end of April is really discouraging, but we'll see. I still have more than half the year left to make progress, so yeah. I have been spending a lot of time with my gardening. I grow a lot of vegetables, and yeah, I just transplanted eggplants into the garden this morning, and it is, like I said, it's early May. It's a little iffy to do it at this point, because we could always get hit with a cold snap, and eggplants, peppers, tomatoes, they do not like freezing temperatures or near freezing temperatures. So it's a little risky for me to put them out at this point, but I've checked the 10-day forecast, and if a cold snap is going to come, I am going to go out there and like mega protect those plants. So, but I need to also get my tomatoes and some of my peppers transplanted out there as well. They are looking very healthy in their cups. They've been growing indoors, and we've been going through the hardening off process of getting them used to the sunlight and the wind outside, and they are ready. They are so ready to go out into the garden beds. I want to do it ASAP. In fact, if there's a break in the weather and I can get out there today, I do want to transplant some of them. It's usually a safer bet to wait until the end of May to do this, but I'm going to roll the dice because they're ready. I don't want them to get root bound in their cups. I don't want to up transplant them before putting them out in the garden bed and dealing with all of that. So yeah, I'm hopeful it's going to work out just fine. But I do have cloth to cover plants out in the garden. I did have to do it in April with the potatoes. So we had a frost warning, and yeah, warning. This is, if you are in a winter climate and you're like, oh my God, you get a warning for frost, the answer is yes, I do get a warning for frost in the Seattle area. I grew up in Michigan, and it's quite comical. But anyway, I'd gotten an alert on my phone that frost was expected a few weeks ago, and I did go out and I made sure to cover my potato plants. They were just starting to pop up out of the soil, like the leaves were barely out of the soil, but I knew if the frost hit them, they were just gonna, you know, the potato plant would have sent up more. It's just that that happened last year where I just let the frost go ahead and impact the first few leaves, and the plants looked pretty unhealthy for the first few weeks. And I thought, you know what? This time, actually go through the effort of covering them and protecting them from the frost. And I did. And they look amazing. They're able to take in all of this sunlight without having to send up more new leaves first. And they're doing really well. So I have the cloth, I have the ability to cover these plants if I need to, and I will if I need to. The hope is it won't come up. But yeah, so other than doing my crafts, of which it doesn't seem like I'm doing a lot, I'm spending a lot of time out in my garden. It's been really nice to grow some of our own food amidst everything, you know, from the pandemic interrupting supply chains in unexpected and expected ways to political situations and tariffs and disease wiping out chickens. And it's I don't know why it needs to be so difficult sometimes to get food, but we've created these really large systems that aren't immune to things, and it's it's a reality I'm seeing. So not only do I feel like I've got a little more food security through my garden, but I know how that food's been treated because I'm the one who, and my husband helps too, but, we tend to the plants, so we know like what chemicals they've been exposed to because we're the ones tending to them, and that's really nice. And it gets me out of the house, it gets me fresh air, it gets me moving and using my body, and it is really nice. So I'm enjoying it in many, many ways. Although it does mean I'm spending less time sitting in here knitting, which is good and bad because I really like sitting and knitting, but it's good for me to get out and move my body, so I'll take it. Anyway, that's what's been going on here in the DeHart house, and I would love to know what's going on with you and the crafts that you're working on, things that you finished. So if you feel up to sharing, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below, and if not, no worries, no pressure. I hope to see you next time, whenever that is. Uh, Maybe a mid-month check-in. I don't know. The garden will be flourishing, so I'm sure you're going to see some kind of content about that here pretty soon. But until next time, I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, and that you enjoy your crafts, whatever they may be. Bye.